If you're anything like me, sad books are your favorite genre, and this sad book changed your life. Now, a lot of people talk about how bad this book was, how much trauma and misery the characters went through in this book, how they DNF'd it, how there was unnecessary sadness added to the book. But for me, this was the first book that I read that I really connected with the main character on such a deep level that I didn't know was possible. And I'd read tons of sad books before, but this, A Little Life and Jude, just really must have just been right book, right time, and it connected to me in a way that I have never found since. But I have been on the search for another sad book that is as emotionally devastating and heartbreaking and will last with me every single day for the rest of my life, like A Little Life. So that's what this video will be. I'm going to be going through some books that are just as sad, but maybe not as emotionally devastating as A Little Life. Before I go through this list, I want to remind everybody that content warnings, trigger warnings, if you need to look any of that stuff up, please do so before you read these books. A lot of them are sad books, and a lot of them deal with different kinds of abuse or grief or handling / mishandling of strong emotions. We're gonna start with a book recommendation that to me is the closest to A Little Life that I have found, and that is A Fine Balance. A Fine Balance is set in the 1970s in India, and it follows 4 main characters, a widow, an orphan, and 2 clothing tailors, and their lives end up overlapping each other. The biggest themes in this book is dealing with like discrimination, poverty, and government oppression. It is very long. I think it's the longest one off the whole list, and I feel like that matches pretty well with A Little Life. You were given enough time to really get to know each character and grow with each character. Next is The Great Believers. This is a novel based in the 1980s AIDS crisis. There are 2 different timelines in this book. One is this group of friends living in Chicago in the 80s, and then another is a woman who is searching for a daughter of a friend that was lost during the crisis. It really talks about devastation, loss, grief, and love. The Heart's Invisible Furies. This follows our main character who is born to an unwed teenager in the 40s in Ireland. It follows him growing up as he learns his identity, as he grows up dealing with being a gay man. It is very dark and sad, but there are also times where it is kind of funny and lighthearted, so it really does a great job at showing you the ups and downs that happen in regular life. One of my favorites, Juno Loves Legs. Juno and Legs are 2 kids. They're growing up in Dublin in the 80s. They deal with poverty, abuse, and just being rejected from society for the people that they are. This is very heartwarming for the strength of friendship, but it is also heartbreaking just seeing and reading about 2 people experiencing some of the most difficult things in life. Next is Shuggie, Bain. This is the book that I read right after I read A Little Life because I was searching for that emotionally heartbreaking, devastating high that I got when I finished A Little Life. So this one holds a special place. This author is a very, very, very strong writer. Shuggie Bain is about a young boy growing up in Scotland in the 80s, and his mother is an alcoholic, so he is growing up learning to take care of himself and his mother, and also he's learning to be comfortable with his own queer identity. This one deals a lot with grief, addiction, poverty, and loss. Now, I couldn't find my physical copy of this book. I am in the process of moving, so it's probably in a box somewhere, but Fall on Your Knees. Fall on Your Knees is a multi-generational story about a family who has a bunch of different secrets, and as their life is going, these secrets start to unravel, and some of them are forbidden love, abuse. This book to me really explains in great depth what it means to be a family. White Oleander. Now, I talk about this book a lot because it fits into a lot of different categories. One of those categories strongly being sad books. This is a book that follows a young girl whose mother ends up in prison for murder. Our main character, Astrid, deals with the difficulties that come with being in foster care and being bounced around from foster home to foster home, and the kind of different traumas that one might experience in different foster homes. I also could not find my copy of Tin Man, which I know I have somewhere. This is a short but devastating book. It follows our two main characters, Ellis and Michael, as they have a strong friendship when they're younger, and it falls apart as they grow older. It shows just how love and loss can really shape you as a person and change your path in life. Betty. This is a coming of age book about Betty. She is mixed race. She's growing up in the rural Appalachians. She is dealing with coming to terms with her heritage and also family abuse, racism, and just learning how to be a strong survivor. Last but not least is Bodies of Light. This follows our main character, Maggie. She is running away from a very traumatic past, and as she's doing so, characters from her past keep popping up into her life and kind of dragging her back into this trauma that she wants to get away from. It is a very haunting and devastating read. So while all of these books are sad and gut-wrenching and devastating and deal with tons of different kinds of abuse, and the authors did a great job at transcribing pain and grief into words and onto these pages, none of them touch the exact hollowness that I felt after I read A Little Life. Yes, I am still on my hunt for the second most heartbreaking book to follow A Little Life, so I will keep you updated if I do find a book. But hopefully, out of these books that I have just said, you will find one that you haven't read that is sad enough to hold you over until you find that next really good sad book. So here are some sad books to fill that A Little Life hole that you have in your heart.